Europe is a continent where every stone holds its secrets, but some of them are so mysterious that they even puzzle modern science. Imagine this: enigmatic stone circles, scattered across the continent with mathematical precision, have been there for thousands of years. Yet no one can explain how ancient people, without computers or modern tools, could create such perfectly aligned structures. What about those ominous castles and towers, about which local legends persistently claim that they were not built by ordinary builders, but by beings with supernatural abilities? How can we explain the fact that in some ancient ruins, archaeologists find artifacts that simply cannot be fitted into the official historical chronology? Stone labyrinths, constructed with such precision that modern engineers can only marvel at them, trying to understand how such ideal alignment of multi-ton blocks could be achieved without advanced technologies. 15 mystical structures of Europe challenge our understanding of the past, making us question whether we truly know the true history of humanity, or if we are only scratching the surface of the mysteries hidden beneath the layers of time. Among all the mysteries of the European ocean, the most radiant pearl of ancient enigmas is Stonehenge, a mystical stone circle whose silent majesty challenges contemporary rational thought. Imagine massive megaliths weighing up to 40 tons, some transported from distances of over 200 kilometers, in an era when neither wheels nor sufficient draft animals existed. How did ancient builders, without modern technology, not only move these colossal boulders, but also place them with astronomical precision that continues to baffle scientists today? Under the grey English sky, these silent sentinels of time have guarded their secrets for more than 4,500 years. Archaeologists have discovered that Stonehenge was built in several stages, beginning approximately 3,000 years before our era. But each new finding raises a dozen new questions. Particularly mysterious are the so-called bluestones, enormous boulders quarried in the distant Preseli Mountains of Wales and somehow transported to Salisbury Plain. Modern experiments in moving similar stones using supposed ancient methods have shown just how titanic this endeavor was. But why? What necessity compelled ancient people to undertake such incredible efforts? Some scientists assert that Stonehenge functioned as an ancient observatory, allowing for the prediction of solstices and equinoxes with remarkable accuracy. Others see it as a ritual center, a place of burial for the elite of an ancient society, or even a healing center to which the sick came from all of Britain. Acoustic studies have revealed that the stones of Stonehenge possess unusual acoustic properties. When struck, they produce sounds reminiscent of metallic bells. Could this have been the reason for the choice of these particular stones? Or was it their supposed magical properties? Especially striking is the orientation of Stonehenge. On the day of the summer solstice, the first rays of the rising sun pass precisely through the central arch and fall on the altar stone at the center of the circle. How could people of the Bronze Age, without writing or our understanding of mathematics, achieve such precision? Local legends attribute the creation of Stonehenge to the magician Merlin, who supposedly transported the stones from Ireland with the help of magic. But reality may be even more extraordinary than the legends suggest. Some researchers propose bold hypotheses that ancient builders possessed knowledge that was later lost to humanity. Perhaps they understood the principles of levitation, or used acoustic technologies of which we are only beginning to suspect. Archaeoastronomers have discovered that the arrangement of the stones at Stonehenge reflects complex astronomical cycles, including the prediction of lunar eclipses, an event requiring deep mathematical knowledge. How could such knowledge exist in a society without writing? Each new method of investigation, from georadars to laser scanning, reveals new aspects of this ancient monument. Recent excavations have shown that Stonehenge was only a part of a vast ritual landscape, including wooden circles, cursuses, and processional avenues. This was a whole sacred world created with incredible effort and resources. But why? What necessity compelled the ancient society to invest so much energy in the creation of this monumental complex? And why was Stonehenge eventually abandoned and the knowledge of its true purpose lost? Perhaps we will never know the whole truth about Stonehenge. These ancient stones continue to guard their secrets despite all the efforts of modern science. And perhaps it is in this very mystery that lies their main charm, in reminding us that the history of humanity is far more complex and enigmatic than we are accustomed to think. But Stonehenge is just one of many ancient mysteries of Europe. If we travel south to sunny Malta, we will find no less mysterious temple complexes whose age exceeds even the Egyptian pyramids. If we continue our journey through the mysterious megalithic structures of the British Isles, we must inevitably visit one of the most enigmatic and little-known places in the world, the Callanish Stones, located on the remote island of Lewis in northern Scotland. Imagine this: a harsh landscape battered by all the winds of the North Atlantic, where between heather-covered moors and peat bogs stand 13 massive stone monoliths forming a perfect circle with a tall central stone. This ancient complex, which is estimated to be around 5,000 years old, is older than the famous Stonehenge and is shrouded in an atmosphere of such profound mystery that even a skeptic cannot help but feel a sense of mystical awe as they approach these silent sentinels of time. Grey granite boulders, some of which reach heights of almost 6 meters, have stood here since the Neolithic era, silently witnessing the passage of millennia, civilizations, and beliefs. Local Scottish legends call these stones Fir-Braig, false men or deceitful men, and tell a remarkable story of how they were once giants who refused to accept Christianity and were turned into stone by an angry saint. According to another version of local folklore, these were fae, caught in the sun's rays during their nightly dances and turned into stone by the first rays of dawn. But what does modern science tell us? Archaeologists date the creation of the Callanish Stones to around 3200 BCE, although the complex was likely used for 2,000 years, gradually evolving and being added to with new elements. Studies have shown that the stones were carefully selected from local gneiss and set with remarkable astronomical precision. But how did these ancient builders, who lacked writing and advanced mathematical knowledge, manage to create such a precise astronomical observatory? The central stone, which resembles a human figure, has led some researchers to see it as an ancient deity observing the cycle of stars and planets. The Callanish complex is oriented not only by solar, but also by lunar cycles, allowing for the prediction of the rare astronomical phenomenon known as the southern standstill of the moon, which occurs every 18.5 years. At this moment, the full moon barely touches the horizon above the southern hills, creating the illusion of a female figure lying on the ground. The ancient Celts called this phenomenon the sleeping goddess. How could people of the Stone Age notice and record such a complex astronomical cycle? What knowledge did they have access to, and why were these knowledge lost in the end? Geophysical studies have revealed that the visible stones today are only a part of a much larger complex. Beneath the peat, remnants of ancient structures, possibly ritual centers or dwellings of priest astronomers, are hidden. Radiocarbon analysis has shown signs of active human activity on this site 1,000 years before the stones were erected. What was this settlement? And why did its inhabitants decide to create a megalithic complex here? Acoustic studies of the Callanish Stones have revealed another remarkable feature. Under certain weather conditions, the stones begin to resonate, emitting a low humming sound reminiscent of a distant chant. Was this property known to the ancient builders? Did they use these sound effects in their rituals? Some scientists suggest that such sonic vibrations could induce altered states of consciousness. Perhaps the ancient priests used Callanish as a place for communion with the other world or for receiving prophetic visions. The choice of location for construction is particularly intriguing. The island of Lewis is not the most hospitable place, even by Scottish standards. Harsh climate, sparse vegetation, constant winds, and rain. What drew the ancient builders here? Was there some special energy in this place, noticeable to sensitive people of the Stone Age? Or did the geographical location of the island play a key role, allowing for the observation of certain astronomical phenomena? Anthropologists note that the creation of such a monumental structure required not only colossal physical effort, but also sophisticated social organization. Who were these people who managed to mobilize the resources of a small island community for such a grand project? How was their social hierarchy structured? And most importantly, what motivated them to invest so much effort in creating this enigmatic complex? Some researchers suggest that the Callanish Stones were not just an astronomical observatory, but also a unique calendar regulating the agricultural cycles of the ancient society. Others see them as a ritual center connected to the cult of ancestors or ancient initiatory rites. Still others believe that this was a center of education, where astronomical knowledge was passed down from generation to generation. But all these theories only scratch the surface of the mystery surrounding the Callanish Stones. Why was this complex ultimately abandoned? What happened to the people who created it? And why were the knowledge they possessed not passed down to subsequent generations? These questions remain unanswered, adding another layer of mystery to this ancient place. And as modern scientists continue to study the Callanish stones using ever more advanced technologies, these silent sentinels of time continue to guard their secrets, reminding us that the history of humanity is full of white spots and unsolved mysteries. And if we continue our journey through the mystical places of Europe and venture even further north, we will discover no less enigmatic stone labyrinths of Scandinavia, the purpose of which continues to be a hotly debated topic among archaeologists and historians. If we shift our gaze from the mysterious stone labyrinths of Scandinavia to the western coast of Ireland, we will discover one of the most astonishing geological wonders of Europe, shrouded in no less mysterious legends and traditions, the famous Giant's Road or the Giant's Causeway. Imagine the coast of County Antrim in Northern Ireland, where the turbulent waters of the Atlantic Ocean crash against a peculiar stone mosaic consisting of more than 40,000 perfectly fitted basalt columns. These hexagonal, or sometimes 5- or 7-sided stone pillars rising from the sea, create the impression of a gigantic paved road leading straight into the ocean depths and disappearing over the horizon. The height of some columns reaches 12 meters, and their geometric perfection is so complete that it seems impossible to believe in their natural origin. Standing on these ancient stones, feeling the salty spray of the waves and inhaling the penetrating wind from the Atlantic, one cannot help but ask, could nature create such an orderly structure? Or is there perhaps the hand of a rational being at work here? Official science offers a perfectly rational explanation. Approximately 60 million years ago, during the Paleogene epoch, intense volcanic activity led to the outpouring of a vast quantity of basalt lava. As this lava cooled slowly, a unique physical phenomenon occurred: a thermal contraction that resulted in the formation of cracks, dividing the monolithic mass into regular multi-sided columns. Similar basalt formations are found in other parts of the world, such as the Devil's Bridge in California or the Rhine basalt prism in Germany. However, nowhere do these geological structures reach such a scale and perfection of form as in Northern Ireland. Nevertheless, local Celtic legends offer a much more colourful explanation. According to ancient traditions, the Giant's Road was created by the legendary Irish warrior and hero Finn McCool, a being of colossal size and incredible strength. When the Scottish giant Benandonna challenged Finn, he decided to build a road across the sea so that his opponent could come and fight him. According to one version of the legend, Finn defeated the Scottish giant in a fair fight. According to another, more cunning version, the Irish hero, seeing the true size of his gigantic opponent, decided to resort to trickery. He disguised himself as a child and lay in a giant cradle. When Benandonna saw the child of such incredible size, he was filled with fear and imagined what his father, Finn McCool, must be like. Overwhelmed with terror, the Scottish giant fled back to Scotland, destroying the road behind him so that Finn could not pursue him. That is why, according to the legends, we see only the beginning of this ancient road along the coasts of Ireland today. It is interesting that on the opposite side, in the Scottish county of Argyll, there indeed exists a similar geological formation, the island of Staffa with its famous Fingal's Cave. Is this a coincidence, or did the ancient Celts observe a geological connection between these places, which was later confirmed by modern science? Archaeological research shows that people settled in the area of the Giant's Road as early as the Neolithic period, approximately 6,000 years ago. They left behind enigmatic petroglyphs on the surrounding cliffs, spirals, concentric circles, and other symbols, the meaning of which remains a subject of scientific debate. Some researchers believe that these ancient people considered the unusual basalt formations sacred and conducted rituals here connected with the sea and the underworld. Others note the strange acoustic properties of this place. The columns begin to resonate, creating a low humming sound, reminiscent of a distant choir, when the wind and tide are in a certain direction and height. Did the ancient inhabitants of these places know about this phenomenon? Did they use it in their religious practices? Geomagnetic research has revealed another enigmatic feature of the Giant's Road. Some of the basalt columns possess an anomalously high magnetic field, whose intensity changes depending on the lunar cycles. This phenomenon has not yet received a satisfactory scientific explanation. There are hypotheses linking these magnetic anomalies to a special mineral composition of basalt in this region or to deep geological processes occurring under the ocean floor. But what if the ancient inhabitants of these places somehow sensed these magnetic fluctuations? What if these invisible forces attracted them to the Giant's Road and became the source of mystical experiences and legends? Especially intriguing are the so-called organic pipes, a group of exceptionally tall basalt columns located at the foot of the cliff. Upon closer inspection, it turns out that these columns are not arranged chaotically, but form a certain sequence, resembling a musical instrument. If you strike these columns in a certain order, they produce sounds of different pitches, creating a melodic pattern. Is this a coincidence, or did the ancient inhabitants of these places discover and use this property? Among the local population, legends circulate about strange sounds emanating from the Giant's Road on moonless nights. It seems as if an invisible being is playing on this stone organ, evoking the spirits of the sea and the underworld. No less intriguing is the fact that some of the basalt columns contain unusual inclusions, crystals and minerals not characteristic of this type of volcanic rock. Where did they come from? Were they brought from the depths of the earth during volcanic eruptions? Or do they have some other origin? And why is the concentration of these unusual minerals particularly high in those parts of the Giant's Road that, according to local legends, possess healing properties? Perhaps the ancient Celts had some intuitive knowledge of the geological and geochemical peculiarities of this place, which is only now beginning to be revealed by modern science. If we turn to astronomical aspects, we will discover that from certain points on the Giant's Road, unique opportunities for observing the movement of celestial bodies are available. During the winter and summer solstices, the sun rises and sets exactly over certain basalt formations, creating impressive visual effects. Is this a coincidence? Or did the ancient inhabitants of these places notice this regularity and attribute it a sacred meaning? Whatever the case, the Giant's Road remains one of the most mysterious places in Europe, where geological reality intertwines with ancient myths, scientific explanations coexist with mystical secrets, and every new researcher discovers new questions, to which answers are yet to be found. And as scientists continue to study this unique natural phenomenon, the ancient basalt columns remain silent, carrying the secrets of millennia into the ocean depths. And if we continue our journey through the mysterious places of Europe and move eastward into the dense forests of Romania, if we continue our journey through the mysterious places of Europe and travel eastward into the dense forests of Romania, we will find ourselves in one of the most enigmatic places on the continent, the heart of Transylvania, where ancient secrets are hidden among the majestic Carpathian mountains, waiting to be revealed. But before we delve into the mystical world of Romanian forests, let us make a stop on the Swedish island of Gotland, a place where time seems to have frozen in its stone labyrinths, whose age is counted in thousands of years. Imagine this: the rugged shores of the Baltic Sea, washing the rocky coasts of the island, where among the heathland and sparse pine forests, mysterious stone spirals have been scattered, created by unknown masters of old. These labyrinths, which the local residents call troborgs, or cities of the three, represent complex spiral patterns laid out directly on the ground. Some of them reach a diameter of 15 meters, and their winding paths, if traversed from the entrance to the center, form a path of up to 100 meters in length. The stone labyrinths of Gotland are one of the most concentrated groups of similar structures in the world, with more than 40 of them found on the relatively small territory of the island. Archaeological research dates the oldest of them to the Bronze Age, around the 15th century BC, although some scholars suggest an even older origin for these enigmatic structures. But who created these stone patterns? What message is encrypted in their intricate spirals? Each Gotland labyrinth has only one path leading from the entrance to the centre, without dead ends and false paths, characteristic of classical Mediterranean labyrinths. These are not puzzles designed to confuse the traveller, but rather ritual paths intended for slow, deliberate movement along a predetermined route. But what ritual was performed in these stone spirals? To which deity did the ancient inhabitants of these lands pray, walking along the winding paths to the sacred centre? Some researchers link the Gotland labyrinths with maritime cults and rituals for successful fishing or safe navigation. Indeed, most of them are located near the coast, and local folklore preserves tales of how fishermen passed through the labyrinths before setting sail, to confuse evil spirits and ensure a safe return. Other scholars see in these stone spirals astronomical instruments that allowed the ancient inhabitants of Gotland to track the movements of celestial bodies and determine the key dates of the agricultural calendar. Detailed study of the layout of some labyrinths reveals interesting regularities. Their entrances are often oriented towards the points of sunrise on the days of the solstices or equinoxes. Moreover, if lines are drawn between the centres of several labyrinths located on a certain part of the island, they form a pattern reminiscent of the constellation of the Pleiades, a star cluster that played an important role in the mythology of many ancient peoples. Is this a coincidence or evidence of deep astronomical knowledge of the creators of these structures? There is also a more mystical interpretation of the Gotland labyrinths as portals between worlds, places where the boundary between the material and spiritual realms thins. Folklore tales speak of how on certain days of the year, especially on the night of the summer solstice, one can encounter beings from other worlds or receive prophetic visions in the center of the labyrinth. It is interesting that geophysical research has revealed strange magnetic anomalies in the area of some labyrinths, and biolocation experiments have shown the presence of powerful energy flows concentrated in their central points. The scientific explanation of these phenomena links them to the geological peculiarities of the island, but it does not explain how the ancient builders could have discovered these invisible forces and why they decided to mark them with laborious stone constructions. The naming of these structures, troborgs or cities of the three, also presents a mystery. Why did the ancient Scandinavians associate their stone labyrinths with the distant Mediterranean city? Did they know about the famous labyrinth of the Minotaur and other similar structures in southern Europe? Archaeological finds testify to the existence of trade and cultural contacts between Scandinavia and the Mediterranean already in the Bronze Age. But were these contacts intense enough for such a deep cultural influence? Or perhaps the idea of the labyrinth as a sacred symbol arose independently in different parts of the ancient world, reflecting some universal archetype of human consciousness. Even more intriguing is the fact that similar labyrinths have been found not only on Gotland, but also in other parts of Scandinavia, in Russia, in Great Britain, in India, and even in remote corners of Northern and Southern America. How can we explain the global spread of this enigmatic symbol? Was it the result of migrations of ancient peoples who carried their sacred knowledge to new territories? Or, as some researchers suggest, is the labyrinth a reflection of some universal cosmic principle that was intuitively understood by shamans and spiritual leaders of different cultures who had no direct contact with each other? Archaeological excavations near some Gotland labyrinths have revealed traces of ancient sacrifices, fragments of pottery, burned animal bones, and in one case, remains of a wooden statue, presumably depicting a female deity with hands raised to her face. These finds indicate that the labyrinths were not just abstract symbols, but actively functioning ritual centers where important communal rituals were performed. But what was the essence of these rituals? What beliefs and representations of the world did they reflect? Unfortunately, the creators of the Gotland labyrinths did not leave written records, and the oral traditions that were passed down from generation to generation were significantly lost or distorted with the advent of Christianity in Scandinavia. And yet, standing in the center of an ancient stone labyrinth on the wind-swept shore of the Baltic Sea, It is impossible not to feel a connection with those distant people who, thousands of years ago, laid these stones following some important purpose. What were they trying to say? What message did they encrypt in these spirals for future generations? And how many more secrets does the ancient land of Europe still hold, waiting for its moment to reveal itself to those who are ready to listen to its silent whisper? And if we leave the enigmatic labyrinths of Gotland and travel to the very heart of Transylvania, we will find not less mysterious a place, shrouded in dark legends and ominous tales. If we transport ourselves from the enigmatic labyrinths of Gotland to the very heart of Transylvania, we will discover no less mysterious a place, shrouded in dark legends and ominous traditions. But before we delve into the mystical world of the Romanian Carpathians, let us make one more stop, in the picturesque Alps of Austria. Among the majestic peaks, on a sheer cliff rising 120 meters above the valley of the river Salzach, stands the mysterious castle of Hohenwerfen. This grim sentinel of the Alpine passes, whose grey walls seem to grow out of the rock, was built in the 11th century at the command of the Archbishop of Salzburg, Gebhard, as an impregnable fortress to protect against invasions from the north. However, over the course of its 900-year existence, the castle of Hohenwerfen has accumulated far more secrets than one might expect from an ordinary military stronghold. Its dark reputation began in the 12th century when the dungeons of the castle were used as prisons for political opponents of the Salzburg archbishops. In these damp, lightless chambers, carved directly into the rock, where drops of water seeping through the stone vaults marked the endless hours of imprisonment, not only knights and nobles were held, but also those accused of practicing forbidden sciences and heresy. Local legends speak of secret experiments conducted in the deepest levels of the castle's dungeons, alchemical trials aimed at finding the philosopher's stone and the elixir of immortality. Indeed, during restoration work in 1987, a walled-up chamber was discovered in one of the abandoned cellars, containing a strange collection of items. Fragments of glass vessels of unusual shape, remnants of a metallic apparatus resembling a primitive still, and, most intriguingly, several parchment scrolls with encrypted texts and alchemical symbols. But the most astonishing discovery was a small metallic disc with a diameter of about 10 centimeters, covered with strange engravings resembling a schematic diagram of the solar system with planets arranged in an unusual order. Radiocarbon analysis of the organic materials found alongside the disc confirmed their medieval origin, approximately the 13th century. However, metallographic examination of the disc revealed an anomaly that has not yet given scientists peace. The alloy from which it was made contains elements whose technology of processing was not available in medieval Europe. Moreover, the precision of the engravings on the disc significantly exceeds the capabilities of the instruments of that time. How to explain this contradiction? Some researchers suggest that the disc could have been made in a later period and somehow ended up among the more ancient artifacts. Others propose a bold hypothesis that the castle of Hohenwerfen indeed conducted experiments significantly ahead of their time, possibly under the guidance of an unknown genius whose name history has not preserved. There are also those who connect the mysterious disc with ancient knowledge brought from the East by returning crusaders, who could have brought not only exotic spices and fabrics, but also fragments of lost technologies of ancient civilizations. Even more mysterious are the strange tunnels discovered in 1999 during the laying of new communications in the northern wing of the castle, leading deep into the rock on which Hohenwerfen stands. These narrow passages, carved with remarkable precision in the solid rock, are not marked on any of the medieval plans of the fortress. Their walls are covered with unusual symbols reminiscent of the runes of ancient Germans and enigmatic signs found in some caves of prehistoric Europe. Georadar scanning showed that the tunnels form a complex network extending for hundreds of meters into the mountain, with some of them ending in vast chambers whose purpose remains unknown. Attempts to penetrate these distant chambers are hindered by landslides and flooding that have occurred over centuries, as well as strange anomalies in the operation of electronic equipment observed during the advancement into the tunnels. The dating of these underground structures presents a separate mystery. Geologists claim that some of the tunnels could have been created long before the construction of the castle itself, possibly even in the Roman era or even earlier. But who and why created this complex underground network in the inaccessible mountain terrain? What secrets were they trying to hide in the depths of the alpine rocks? In local folklore, legends have been preserved about underground people, mysterious creatures that inhabited the depths of the mountains long before the arrival of the first human tribes. According to the legends, these creatures possessed extraordinary knowledge and technologies, allowing them to create wonderful artifacts and control the forces of nature. When people began to settle in the alpine valleys, the underground people retreated even deeper into the earth, taking their secrets with them. Only occasionally, the legends say, they made contact with certain people, usually hermits or wise men, sharing with them crumbs of their knowledge. The scientific community, of course, regards such legends with skepticism, considering them as a folklore reflection of real historical events. For example, contacts of the local population with more technologically advanced Romans or cultural influence of Eastern civilizations through trade routes. However, some anomalous findings in the dungeons of Hohenwerfen make one think, what if there is a grain of truth in these ancient legends? Particularly interesting is the discovery in one of the side tunnels of a small chamber with perfectly smooth polished walls, on which, under certain lighting, strange images appear. Diagrams or maps resembling the starry sky, but with the arrangement of constellations not corresponding to the modern one. Astronomers who studied these images came to a shocking conclusion. If we accept them as a map of the real starry sky, then it corresponds to the arrangement of stars as observed from Earth approximately 12,000 years ago. An era when, according to official historical science, there could not have been a civilization in the Alpine region capable of making such precise astronomical observations and their graphical fixation. How to explain this contradiction? Is the star chart of Hohenwerfen just a curious play of nature? A narrow window in which the human mind, inclined to seek regularities, saw familiar outlines? Or is it evidence of the existence of some ancient culture that possessed knowledge that we have come to consider accessible only to modern science? And if such a culture did indeed exist, where did it disappear, leaving no other traces of its presence? These questions remain unanswered, and the castle of Hohenwerfen continues to keep its secrets, occasionally lifting the veil over the mysteries hidden in its ancient walls and dungeons. Perhaps future research using new technologies will help solve these mysteries, or they will remain one of those secrets of the past that feed our imagination and remind us of how little we know about the true history of our planet and the civilizations that once inhabited it. And if, from the mysterious castle of Hohenwerfen, we continue our journey to the east, crossing the Alpine passes and descending into the valleys of Transylvania, we will discover no less intriguing secrets hidden in the shadows of the Carpathian forests and shrouded in the fog of ancient legends. If we continue our journey east from the mysterious castle of Hohenwerfen, crossing the Alpine passes and descending into the valleys of Transylvania, we will discover no fewer intriguing mysteries hidden in the shadows of the Carpathian forests and shrouded in the mists of ancient legends. However, before we delve into the mystical world of the Carpathians, let us make a small detour from our route and travel to the southwest of Europe, to the picturesque province of Brittany in northwestern France. There, among the emerald hills and misty valleys, lies one of the most mysterious megalithic enigmas of the continent, the Carnac dolmens. These colossal stone structures, dating back approximately 5,000 years, represent a grand complex of burial chambers created from enormous stone slabs, some of which weigh more than 100 tons. Imagine these colossal monoliths, torn from rock formations, transported over tens of kilometers, and installed with such precision that even today, after 5,000 years, a knife blade cannot be inserted between them. How did the ancient builders, lacking metallic tools, wheels, or lifting mechanisms, accomplish this engineering feat? This question has troubled archaeologists and engineers for decades. Traditional explanations involving wooden rollers, levers, and thousands of workers seem unconvincing when standing before these monumental structures and feeling their overwhelming grandeur. But what is even more astonishing about the Karnak dolmens is their astronomical orientation. Rigorous studies conducted in recent decades using modern geodetic instruments have revealed a remarkable regularity. The main axes of the largest dolmens in the complex are oriented towards specific points of sunrise on the days of the solstices and equinoxes, as well as key positions of the moon in its 18-year cycle. Moreover, if we mentally connect the centers of the main dolmens, a complex geometric pattern emerges on the Earth's surface, precisely mirroring the constellation Orion as it appeared from Earth 5,000 years ago. How did the ancient builders, presumably lacking literacy and mathematical knowledge, project this celestial map onto the Earth's surface with such precision? And what was the purpose of this? According to the official archaeological version, the Karnak dolmens are burial structures created by Neolithic tribes to bury their chieftains and priests. However, strangely, in most of the chambers, no human remains have been found, despite ideal conditions for the preservation of organic materials. The few bone fragments that have been discovered date from a period several centuries after the dolmens were built, suggesting their secondary use. Another mystery is the discovery in 1997 in one of the most inaccessible dolmens of a strange metallic plate measuring approximately 30 by 20 centimeters, covered with a geometric pattern of concentric circles and radial lines. Spectral analysis showed that the plate was made of an alloy of copper, tin, and a small amount of nickel, a combination not typical of the Bronze Age metallurgy of Europe. Moreover, microscopic examination revealed traces of mechanical processing requiring tools that, according to historians, could not have existed in that era. When French physicist Jean-Pierre Duval conducted computer modeling of the pattern on the plate in 1997, he arrived at a shocking conclusion. The pattern represents a schematic image of the orbits of the planets in the solar system, including Uranus and Neptune, which were only discovered in the 18th and 19th centuries, respectively. How can this anachronism be explained? Skeptics argue that the plate is a later forgery or was accidentally placed in the dolmen in a later period. However, radiocarbon analysis of organic remains found directly under the plate and thermoluminescence dating of the surrounding soil indicate that the artifact has been in its place for at least 3,000 years. No less intriguing are the strange acoustic properties of the main dolmen complex, known as the Whispering Chamber. This massive megalith, consisting of 7 vertical slabs supporting a horizontal roof weighing approximately 55 tons, possesses an extraordinary property. A sound produced in a specific point in the chamber is amplified and resonates in such a way that it seems as if dozens of voices are speaking simultaneously. Acoustic studies conducted by a group of engineers from the Paris Polytechnic Institute showed that the shape of the chamber and the arrangement of the stone slabs create a complex system of resonators tuned to specific frequencies. Moreover, these frequencies correspond to the Schumann resonances, electromagnetic oscillations that occur in the space between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. Is this a coincidence? Or did the ancient builders possess knowledge of the Earth's physical properties that modern science has only discovered in the 20th century? Even more mysterious is the fact that people spending long periods of time inside the Whispering Chamber, especially during the solstices, often report unusual psychological effects: altered perception of time, vivid visual images, and a sense of contact with some intelligent entities. Neurophysiologists suggest that the acoustic properties of the chamber may induce a resonance in brain structures, leading to states similar to deep meditation or trance. Is it possible that the dolmens were not only burial structures, but also some kind of technological devices designed to alter the state of consciousness and possibly establish contact with other realities or aspects of existence? This hypothesis, of course, goes beyond the boundaries of official science, but it finds unexpected parallels in shamanic practices of various cultures of the world, where certain places were used for journeys between worlds. In 1999, a group of geophysicists studying the territory of the Karnak complex discovered another strange anomaly. Powerful underground water flows pass under the main dolmens, and in the places of their intersection, significant geomagnetic anomalies are observed. Moreover, these anomalies reach their peak intensity precisely on the days of the solstices and equinoxes. the same days on which the axes of the dolmens are oriented. Is it a coincidence that the ancient builders chose these very points for their megalithic structures? Or did they possess methods for detecting underground energy flows and consciously use them for their purposes? Local legends passed down from generation to generation by the inhabitants of the surrounding villages speak of sleeping stones that awaken when the stars take their places. According to these traditions, on certain nights of the year, the dolmens begin to emit a strange blue light, and low-pitched vibrating sounds, reminiscent of distant singing, can be heard from under the ground. There is no scientific confirmation of these tales, but it is interesting that similar legends are associated with megalithic structures around the world, from Stonehenge in England to the temple complexes of South America. Perhaps in these folk traditions, the memory of real physical phenomena associated with the interaction of stone structures with natural energy fields has been preserved. The Karnak dolmens continue to guard their secrets, rarely lifting the veil on the mysteries of the ancient builders, whose knowledge and technologies, possibly, far exceeded what we are accustomed to attributing to our distant ancestors. Who were these people? From where did they draw their extraordinary knowledge of the starry sky, geometry, and acoustics? And where did their civilization disappear, leaving behind only these silent stone witnesses of their former glory? These questions remain unanswered, reminding us of how little we know about the long history of humanity and what amazing discoveries may await us in the future. If we leave the mysterious lands of Brittany and head north, crossing the restless waters of La Manche, we will find ourselves in no less mysterious country, Scotland, where among the magnificent mountains and misty valleys lies one of the most inexplicable archaeological enigmas of Europe. In the heart of the Scottish Highlands, in the depths of Loch Oich, hidden among the magnificent mountain peaks and ancient forests, lies a secret about which practically nothing is said in academic circles, and which is mentioned only occasionally in half-forgotten local legends. Imagine the cold, almost black waters of this lake, surrounded by centuries-old pines and enveloped in a thick mist for most of the year. Under this impenetrable water surface, at a depth of about 25 meters in the year 1997, a group of divers studying the bottom of the lake accidentally discovered something that completely contradicted the official history of the region. A vast megalithic complex consisting of dozens of massive stone blocks forming precise geometric structures. Giant monoliths, some weighing up to 15 tons, are arranged on the bottom of the lake in a strictly defined order, forming concentric circles and radial lines, reminiscent of gigantic solar clocks or an astronomical calendar. But how could ancient builders erect such a grand structure on the bottom of a lake? Or, even more intriguing, was there no water here in the distant past, and were these megalithic structures built on dry land, which later became submerged? Geological studies conducted in 1999 showed that the water level in Loch Oich rose by about 20 meters around 3,000 years ago, presumably due to the melting of glaciers and tectonic changes that transformed the landscape of the Scottish Highlands. This means that the enigmatic structures should have been built before this catastrophe, in the Bronze Age or even earlier. But the most astonishing thing is that there is not a single mention of any cult or ceremonial structure in this place in any historical document, chronicle, or legend. How could such a grand human creation completely disappear from the collective memory of the people? A detailed study of the underwater megaliths conducted in 1999 using underwater photography and sonar scanning revealed even more enigmatic features of this complex. On the surface of some stones, strange carved symbols were found: spirals, concentric circles, and zigzag lines, remarkably similar to petroglyphs found in Neolithic graves in Ireland and Britain, especially in the famous Newgrange. However, there are also symbols that have no analogues in any known ancient writings. Complex geometric figures resembling mathematical formulas or astronomical diagrams. What were the ancient builders trying to convey to us through these enigmatic signs? Were they just ritual symbols, or were they encrypted with some knowledge, the meaning of which we are still unable to comprehend? Another unexplained feature of the underwater megaliths of Loch Oich is the material from which they are made. Mineralogical analysis of samples taken from the surface of the stones showed that they are basalt with a high content of magnetite, giving the stone unusual magnetic properties. However, the nearest deposits of such basalt are located more than 50 kilometers from the lake, in the region of the island of Skye. How did the ancient builders transport these colossal stone blocks over such a significant distance, through mountains and valleys, rivers and bogs, in an era when there were no roads or wheeled transport capable of withstanding such weight? This question becomes even more puzzling if we consider that some of the underwater monoliths have an ideally precise geometric shape, with smooth, polished surfaces and right angles, which requires tools and technologies for stone processing that, according to historians, simply could not have existed in that era. In the year 2000, a group of geophysicists from the University of Edinburgh studying magnetic anomalies in the area of Loch Oich made another astonishing discovery. It turned out that the underwater megalithic complex is located exactly at the intersection of several powerful geomagnetic lines, forming a unique energy node. Moreover, the intensity of the magnetic field in this point is subject to strange oscillations, which, as it turned out, coincide with certain astronomical cycles, such as the 18-year cycle of lunar eclipses. Was it a coincidence that the ancient builders chose this very place for their mysterious structure? Or did they somehow manage to detect and use these invisible energy flows? The local inhabitants, descendants of ancient Celtic tribes who have inhabited these lands for millennia, have preserved strange legends about singing stones under the water and sleeping giants guarding the gates to the lower world. According to these legends, at certain times of the year, especially during the winter solstice, a strange light can be seen above the surface of Loch Oich, and sounds resembling distant music or choral singing can be heard from the depths of the lake. Skeptics, of course, explain these stories as products of popular fantasy or natural phenomena, such as bioluminescence of plankton or acoustic effects caused by the special shape of the lake basin. However, in 2005, a group of researchers from the International Institute of Acoustic Sciences actually recorded unusual sound waves coming from the area of the underwater complex. Spectral analysis of these sounds showed that they have a regular structure and frequency characteristics that are atypical for natural acoustic phenomena. Some scientists suggested that these sounds could be caused by the movement of water through hidden cavities in the megalithic structures, creating the effect of a gigantic organ. But if this is the case, then the ancient builders must have possessed profound knowledge of acoustics and hydrodynamics, which forces us to rethink our understanding of the level of development of prehistoric cultures. In 2010, an international expedition equipped with the most modern equipment for underwater research, including robotic underwater vehicles with high-sensitivity cameras and laser scanners, began systematic study of the submerged complex. The results of this research were so unexpected and contrary to the official historical paradigm that they have not been fully published to this day. It is known only that under the visible structures, a complex system of underground tunnels and chambers carved into the rock base of the lake was discovered. Some of these tunnels go down to a depth of more than 100 meters and stretch for kilometers, forming a real underwater labyrinth. Who and for what purpose created this grand underground system? What technologies allowed the ancient builders to dig tunnels in solid rock at such depths? And most importantly, what were they trying to find or hide in these mysterious underground galleries? Even more strange is the fact that radiocarbon analysis of organic materials found in one of the underwater chambers gave completely unexpected results. Their age is about 12,000 years. This means that the complex was built at the end of the last ice age, long before the appearance of the first civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt, in an era when, according to generally accepted historical representations, people lived in primitive hunting communities and had only just learned to make simple stone tools. How can this contradiction be reconciled? Were the builders of the underwater complex of Loch Oich representatives of some forgotten civilization whose technological achievements were ahead of their time by thousands of years? Or are we dealing with something that completely goes beyond our understanding of history and the evolution of humanity? The submerged megaliths of Loch Oich continue to keep their secrets, occasionally lifting the veil over the enigmas of their origin and purpose. They stand as silent witnesses to long-gone epochs, reminding us of how little we know about the long history of our planet and what amazing discoveries may await us in the future. Perhaps the key to solving this and many other archaeological enigmas lies not in the sands of distant deserts or tropical jungles, but here, in the cold waters of the Scottish Lake, hidden from our eyes by a thick layer of dark water and an even more impenetrable veil of scientific dogmas and prejudices. If we leave the mysterious depths of the Scottish Loch and head south, crossing the Manche in the opposite direction, we will find ourselves in no less mysterious region of France, Brittany, where on the shore of the Atlantic Ocean, swept by salty winds and steeped in ancient legends, stands one of the most grandiose and inexplicable megalithic complexes in the world, the famous stones of Carnac. Imagine thousands of massive stone blocks, some weighing up to 300 tons, arranged in perfectly straight lines, stretching for kilometers across fields and hills. 11,000 menhirs, installed in strict geometric order more than 6,000 years ago, in an era when, according to official history, people had barely mastered primitive agriculture and lived in simple huts made of clay and wattle. How could these primitive builders not only transport colossal stone blocks over significant distances from their places of extraction, but also arrange them with such remarkable precision that even modern geodetic instruments can only detect minimal deviations from the ideal straight line? The sunrise over Carnac presents a breathtaking spectacle. The first rays of the sun slowly glide over the rough surfaces of the ancient stones, creating a strange interplay of light and shadow, while the morning mist, spreading between the rows of menhirs, gives this place a truly mystical atmosphere. Local residents say that at such moments one can almost physically feel the presence of those who erected these stone rows thousands of years ago. But who were these mysterious builders? Traditional archaeology attributes the creation of the Carnac menhirs to Neolithic tribes living in Brittany in the 4th to 3rd millennia BC. However, this explanation raises more questions than answers. How could a society that did not know metallic tools, wheels, or draft animals have carried out such a grand architectural project? Even the most conservative estimates suggest that installing all the menhirs of Carnac would have required no less than 15 million man-hours of work, a figure completely incomparable with the presumed population of Brittany at that time. What is even more intriguing is that many of the stones of Carnac are positioned according to certain astronomical laws. Detailed studies conducted in 1980 by a group of astronomers from the Paris Observatory showed that the main lines of the menhirs are oriented towards the azimuths of sunrise on the days of the solstices and equinoxes, as well as the extreme points of the lunar cycles. Moreover, some configurations of stones, viewed from above, form patterns of constellations visible in the northern hemisphere 6,000 years ago: the Pleiades, Orion, and the Great Bear. How could Neolithic builders, presumably without writing and mathematical knowledge, create such a complex astronomical model in stone? The famous French archaeoastronomer Jean-Pierre Darboux, who devoted more than 30 years of his life to the study of Carnac, asserts, "We are dealing not with a primitive cultic structure, but with a highly precise astronomical instrument, a unique stone observatory of the ancient world, capable of predicting solar and lunar eclipses and other celestial phenomena with remarkable accuracy." But this means that the builders of Carnac must have possessed mathematical and astronomical knowledge that, according to the generally accepted chronology of the development of science, appeared only thousands of years later. One of the most mysterious aspects of the Carnac complex is the geological composition of the stones. Mineralogical analysis conducted in 1992 showed that many of the menhirs contain an unusually high concentration of quartz and other piezoelectric minerals capable of generating electrical impulses under mechanical stress. Moreover, the arrangement of these stones forms a unique network resembling a gigantic electrical circuit. Some researchers have suggested that Carnac could have functioned as an ancient system for collecting and redistributing telluric currents, natural electricity of the earth. But if this is the case, for what purpose could the ancient builders have needed such energy? And how could they have used it in an era when, according to official history, humanity still did not know even the simplest metallic conductors. Breton legends add another layer of mystery to the enigma of Karnak. According to ancient traditions passed down from generation to generation, the menhirs are nothing other than petrified warriors, cursed by Saint Cornelius for pursuing him. Another version of the legend states that the stones of Karnak are the remnants of a great city of the Atlanteans, destroyed in a catastrophe that wiped out their civilization. Remarkably, many of these legends mention strange sounds coming from the stones on certain days of the year, especially during the solstices, and unusual light phenomena observed around the menhirs on moonless nights. Skeptics, of course, reject these stories as popular fantasy. But in 1997, a group of physicists from the University of Rennes actually recorded anomalous electromagnetic oscillations in the area of the main lines of menhirs, especially during thunderstorm activity and geomagnetic storms. Moreover, ultrasound scanning of some of the largest menhirs revealed strange cavities and channels inside them, arranged in such a way that under certain conditions, such as strong wind in a certain direction, the stones could indeed emit sounds, resembling low-frequency hum or even melodic tones. Was this a deliberate acoustic feature created by the ancient builders? Or was it simply a coincidental coincidence? And if the former, what role did these sounds play in the rituals and ceremonies conducted in Karnak thousands of years ago? Even more questions arise when considering the chronology of the creation of the Karnak complex. Radiocarbon dating of organic materials found under some menhirs gives an age of around 6,000 years, corresponding to the Neolithic era. However, geological studies of the erosion of the stone surfaces indicate that they could have been installed significantly earlier, possibly 8 to 9,000 years ago, in the Mesolithic era, when, according to official archaeology, people still led a nomadic lifestyle of hunters and gatherers and did not have the technology and social organization necessary for such a large-scale construction. How can this contradiction be explained? Is it possible that we underestimate the level of development of ancient cultures that inhabited Europe at the end of the Ice Age? Or, as some researchers of alternative history suggest, is Karnak the legacy of some forgotten civilization that existed long before the officially recognized history of humanity began? The stone giants of Karnak continue to keep their secrets, silently gazing at us through the centuries. They stand as a mute testimony to the fact that the history of our planet and civilization may be much more complex and mysterious than we are accustomed to think. And who knows what other amazing discoveries await us when we learn to listen to these ancient stones, to look into their rough surfaces and ask the right questions, casting aside prejudices and dogmas of modern science. Perhaps the key to solving the mystery of Karnak lies not only in archaeological excavations and laboratory research, but also in our ability to look at the past with new eyes, recognizing that the history of humanity may be much older and more amazing than we dared to imagine. Leaving the mystical shores of Brittany, we will travel to the north of Europe, where we await a no less mysterious testimony of ancient greatness, the stone ship of Aal, located in the province of Skåne in southern Sweden. Imagine this: 67 meters of silent majesty, frozen in time. 59 massive boulders arranged in the shape of a gigantic ship, with its sharp prow pointing northwest, as if this stone leviathan is about to embark on its last voyage to the distant shores of Valhalla. When you stand in the center of this megalithic structure at dawn, as the first rays of the sun pierce the mist that lies over the dew-covered grass, a strange, almost physical sensation of the presence of those who erected this monument more than 1,000 years ago envelops you. A cold northern wind, sliding between the ancient stones, seems to carry to our ears the whispers of long-departed voices, telling stories of great warriors, maritime expeditions, and mysterious rituals conducted here in times long past. The stone ship of Ale, or Ale's Stone as the local inhabitants call it, represents one of the most impressive megalithic constructions of Scandinavia. 59 enormous boulders, each weighing up to 5 tons, form an ideal hull of a ship, with the highest stones at the prow and stern. Traditional archaeology dates the creation of this monument to the Viking Age, approximately the 8th and 9th centuries of our era, and interprets it as a burial structure, a symbolic embodiment of a ship on which the souls of the deceased embarked on their final journey. However, as is often the case with ancient megalithic monuments, the more we study the stone ship of Ale, the more mysteries it presents to us. Geophysical studies conducted in the 1950s by a team of archaeologists from Lund University did not reveal any traces of burials or grave goods beneath the stones. Moreover, radiocarbon analysis of organic materials found in the foundations of some of the stones yielded an astonishing result: the age of around 3,000 years, which places the creation of Ale's stone not in the Viking Age, but in the Bronze Age, when a mysterious Nordic civilization existed on the territory of present-day Sweden, about which we know surprisingly little. But the most intriguing discovery was made in the 1970s, when a group of astronomers and archaeoastronomers conducted a detailed study of the geometry of the stone ship. It turned out that the arrangement of the stones was not accidental. It forms a complex astronomical system, a unique stone calendar, allowing the determination of the days of the solstices and equinoxes with remarkable accuracy. On the day of the winter solstice, the sun rises exactly over the southeastern stone and sets over the northwestern one. And on the day of the summer solstice, the picture is exactly the opposite. Moreover, on the days of the equinoxes, the sun rises and sets exactly along the line passing through the central axis of the ship. What knowledge did the ancient builders possess to create such a complex astronomical observatory? And for what purpose did they need such accuracy in determining the solar cycles? Swedish archaeoastronomer Bóinne Lind, who has been studying Ale's stone for more than 20 years, asserts, "We are dealing not just with a burial monument or a symbolic representation of a ship. This is a highly accurate astronomical instrument, created by a civilization possessing profound knowledge in the field of celestial mechanics." The placement of each stone was calculated with mathematical precision, which would have been impossible without a developed system of measurements and understanding of complex astronomical cycles. Another intriguing aspect of the stone ship of Ale is its geomagnetic anomaly. Studies conducted in the 1980s using highly sensitive magnetometers revealed a strange peculiarity. In certain days of the year, coinciding with ancient Celtic and Nordic holidays, the stones of the ship generate a weak but clearly detectable magnetic field, the intensity of which significantly exceeds the background geomagnetic indicators. Moreover, this field forms a spiral structure, the center of which is located exactly in the geometric center of the stone ship. How can this phenomenon be explained? Mineralogical analysis of the stones showed an unusually high content of magnetite and other iron-containing minerals, which is remarkable because there are no natural deposits of such rocks in the vicinity of Ale. This means that the builders specifically selected certain types of stones and transported them over significant distances. But why were they specifically interested in such stones? Did they know about their magnetic properties? And if so, how did they use these properties in their rituals or astronomical observations? Local legends add another layer of mystery to the enigma of the stone ship of Ale. According to ancient Scandinavian traditions, Ale's stone was created not by people, but by a giant named Ale, who turned a real ship with a crew, trying to steal his treasures, into stone. Another version of the legend claims that under the stone ship lies the entrance to an underground kingdom, where unspeakable riches and ancient knowledge are stored, accessible only to those who know the secret word that can move the central stone of the construction. Of course, modern science rejects these stories as folklore fantasies, but it is noteworthy that ground-penetrating radar scanning conducted in the 1990s did indeed reveal a strange cavity under the central part of the stone ship, resembling an artificially created chamber or corridor. Technical limitations did not allow for the precise determination of the size and configuration of this cavity, and permission for archaeological excavations in the center of the monument has not yet been obtained due to fears of damaging the unique historical object. Thus, we can only speculate about what lies beneath the stone ship of Ale: an ancient burial, a ritual repository, or something entirely different, not fitting within our current understanding of the culture of the Bronze Age of Northern Europe. No less intriguing is the question of whether the stone ship of Ale was an isolated monument or part of a larger system of megalithic constructions. Aerial photography and LiDAR scanning conducted in recent years have revealed in the radius of 50 kilometers from Aile's stone several dozen smaller stone constructions, many of which are significantly damaged or almost completely covered by a layer of soil. When plotted on a map, these structures exhibit a remarkable pattern. They are arranged in a spiral, with the stone ship of Ale at its center. Moreover, if connected by straight lines, a scheme is obtained that remarkably resembles the constellation of Draco in the position it occupied on the night sky of Scandinavia around 3,000 years ago. A coincidence? Or a deliberate plan, realized by ancient builders possessing profound astronomical knowledge and the ability to project celestial configurations onto the Earth's surface with remarkable accuracy? And if the latter is true, what goal did they pursue in creating this grand astronomical map of stone? The stone ship of Ale continues to keep its secrets, silently drifting through the ocean of time. It reminds us that the history of human civilization can be much more complex and mysterious than we are accustomed to consider. Perhaps our distant ancestors possessed knowledge and technologies that we are only now beginning to rediscover. And perhaps the stone ship of Ale is a message left for us by ancient builders, the meaning of which we are not yet able to decipher completely. But every new sunset, illuminating the silhouettes of ancient stones with a reddish glow, brings us one day closer to the solution of this thousand-year-old enigma. And for now, we can only stand in awe and silence before this testimony of ancient genius, asking ourselves, who were those who created the stone ship of Ale? And what message did they want to convey to future generations? Leaving the magical spaces of Sweden, we will head to sunny Italy, to the coast of Liguria, where another mystery awaits us, shrouded in mysticism and ancient legends. The dolmens. These monumental stone portals, whose origins are lost in the depths of time, stand at the crossroads of worlds, between what is known to us and what lies beyond our understanding. As you approach them, you feel the air around you filled with secrecy and tension. Local residents believe that these dolmens served not only as burial constructions, but also as gates to other worlds, allowing souls to leave this world and journey to heavenly spheres or, conversely, return from other dimensions. How could these ancient builders, who lived more than 5,000 years ago, create such massive structures using only primitive tools and their inexhaustible knowledge of nature? The stones from which the dolmens are made, weighing up to 30 tons, are perfectly chosen and laid, as if they themselves chose their place on this earth. And to this day, it remains a mystery how they were moved and installed. But the dolmens of Liguria attract attention not only with their size and shape, their enigmatic aura envelops us in a multitude of legends and myths. According to one local legend, the dolmens were built by giants who used them as portals for traveling between worlds. Some dolmens, like the dolmen of Brno, are surrounded by numerous myths about how they served as places for sacrifices and rituals aimed at pacifying spirits. Archaeological excavations have shown that near the dolmens were found burials, although their true purpose remains a question. In the 2006 year, a group of researchers conducted radiocarbon dating of finds from these burials, and the results showed that they belonged to the Neolithic period, which coincides with the dating of the construction of the dolmens themselves. But how to explain the fact that some of them, according to archaeologists, contain signs and symbols that were not known even in subsequent epochs? Local residents claim that under the massive stone slabs, there are not only the secrets of the ancient ones, but also entrances to other worlds where the spirits of ancestors live. In some dolmens, on the walls, one can notice mysterious carvings, which, according to specialists, could be ancient symbols left to us by our predecessors. What did they try to convey, and what was their true purpose? One of the most intriguing aspects of these dolmens is their arrangement. They are built in such a way that some of them are ideally oriented to solar and lunar cycles. Astronomers, studying them, discovered that on the days of the winter and summer solstices, the solar light passes through certain openings, creating unique light effects inside the constructions. Could the ancient builders really use these dolmens as astronomical observatories? Or was it just a coincidence? One thing is certain. The dolmens of Liguria continue to evoke amazement and awe in everyone who encounters them. They are silent witnesses to past epochs and bear secrets that perhaps will never be deciphered. They're massive stone slabs standing under the open sky, as if guard some secret that no researcher can uncover. And every day, when we stand before them, a question arises in our consciousness. What lies behind these gates? And what knowledge have our predecessors left us? Perhaps the dolmens of Liguria are not just monuments of antiquity, but keys to understanding a deeper truth about the origin of humanity and its connection to the cosmos? In the very heart of Italy, among the greenery and mountain landscapes, they await the day when someone will once again decipher their mysterious message, opening the doors to unknown worlds. This is not the only mystery that Europe holds. Travelling westward towards the shores of Portugal, we encounter the cromlech of Almendras, one of the oldest structures known to humanity, older even than the famous Stonehenge. This magical complex of stones, situated in picturesque hills, seems to be an invisible thread connecting us with ancient civilizations. The cromlech of Almendras is not merely a collection of massive stone slabs. It is, in essence, an ancient calendar, an astronomical observatory, and possibly a sacred site where our ancestors worshipped the forces of nature. As we approach this place, it feels as if the stones themselves whisper their secrets to us, and the night sky, dotted with stars, creates an atmosphere of genuine mystique. Local residents tell a fascinating legend about living stones that, according to them, can move at night. How is this possible? It is probably just an old tale, or perhaps there is a grain of truth in it. Some researchers suggest that these stones could have been part of rituals connected to the movements of celestial bodies. There are theories that the cromlech was built with incredible precision, allowing ancient people to observe astronomical phenomena such as the equinoxes and solstices. But how could ancient people create such a complex structure without modern technologies? Each stone weighs several tons, and their arrangement requires incredible strength and skill. How did they move these massive slabs? Some believe that physical strength alone was not enough. Deep knowledge of nature and the interaction between earth and sky was also involved. Similar to the dolmens of Liguria, the cromlech of Almendres is shrouded in many myths. It is said that on certain nights, when the moon reaches its peak, mysterious sounds can be heard, as if the stones come to life. Local residents claim that these are the spirits of the ancestors coming to share their knowledge. But how can we separate myth from reality? Some scientists studying the cromlech suggest that it served not only as an astronomical observatory, but also as a place for rituals connected to life and death, and the transition to another world. The question arises, what were our ancestors trying to convey to us by creating such complex structures? How much knowledge has been lost over the centuries, and how many secrets still await discovery? Even with the help of modern technologies such as LiDAR scanning and radiocarbon dating, we cannot unravel all the mysteries of the cromlech. It is remarkable that despite all the achievements of science, we still remain at a distance from a full understanding of these ancient structures. The cromlech of Almendras, with its massive stones, stands as a silent witness to bygone eras, continuing to pose questions to which we cannot find answers. What secrets lie hidden behind its enigmatic aura? What mystery awaits its revelation in this ancient place where the sun rises over the stones, seemingly illuminating the path to answers? Perhaps this place is not just a monument to history, but a key to understanding deeper truths about our place in the world and our connection to our ancestors. The cromlech of Almendras remains a living reminder that the world of antiquity is filled with secrets and mysteries, and each new discovery merely lifts the veil that hides many aspects of our history, which may never be fully deciphered. But this is not the only enigma that the European land holds. Travelling south, we arrive in Spain, where in the heart of the ancient city of Muralla de Valbona, another mysterious anomaly lies hidden. An ancient fortress wall, the origin of which is shrouded in darkness. Constructed from massive stone blocks, these walls, despite the efforts of historians, lack precise dating and defy scientific explanation. Local residents whisper about the wall's strange ability to grow on its own, as if it possesses its own life and will. How is such a thing possible? It is possible that some ancient technology, of which we are not even aware, or local magic, which modern scientists cannot comprehend, is involved. Each stone enclosed in these walls seems to hold within it a multitude of stories that are not yet ready to be revealed. How could such a massive structure have appeared in this place? And who built it? Legends exist about mysterious masons who, according to the tales, possessed not only the ability to work with stone, but also knowledge of hidden forces of nature. Researchers suggest that this fortress wall could have been part of a larger defensive complex that possibly protected not only against enemies, but also against otherworldly forces. But how to explain its strange properties? Local residents tell stories about how people come to the wall at night, seeking answers to their questions. They touch the stones and feel how the walls respond to them with warmth or cold. How is this possible? It is all just a product of imagination, or is there indeed some connection between humans and this ancient construction? Some scientists studying the fortress wall propose theories that it could have been created using methods that have no analogues in our history, possibly with the help of forgotten technologies. But then, how to explain its fluidity and ability to grow? Each year, local residents notice that the wall seems to increase in height, adding new stones that, as they claim, appear out of nowhere. This phenomenon raises many questions. Is the wall truly growing, or are we simply unable to see its true nature? How many secrets does this ancient fortress hide? And how is its history intertwined with myths and legends passed down from generation to generation? Perhaps this place is not just a monument of architecture, but a living organism that holds knowledge of long-lost civilizations. Muralla de Valbona is not just a wall. It is an enigma that remains unsolved, a mysterious symbol of the connection between the past and the present. What are the true roots of this fortress, and what secrets is it ready to reveal to those who dare to approach it? What meaning does this wall have in the context of our history? And how many more such enigmas await their time in other corners of the world? Each stone of Muralla de Valbona seems to whisper about its own secret, and only time will tell if we will ever be able to unravel it. This is not the only mystery that Europe holds. Travelling north, we find ourselves in France, where on the picturesque plains of Brittany stands one of the most enigmatic megaliths, the menhir of Manoir de Chane. This gigantic stone, weighing more than 300 tons, installed in ancient times, causes both bewilderment and admiration among researchers and lovers of mysteries. How could our ancestors move such a massive object and install it with such precision without modern technologies? At first glance, it seems impossible. However, studying ancient sources, we understand that in those distant times, people possessed knowledge that we have now lost. There are various theories about how this incredible structure could have been built. Some researchers believe that ancient builders used a system of rollers and inclined planes to move the stones, while others propose more exotic versions, suggesting the use of magic or even technologies that we cannot explain yet. But how can we explain the fact that the menhir stands here, abandoned and unnoticed, surrounded by green meadows and ancient trees, as if waiting for its mystery to be revealed? Local residents pass down legends about this stone being once a part of a great temple that hid knowledge about stars and time, and some even claim that at night the menhir emits strange light. How is this possible? This is nothing more than folklore, or is there something more behind these stories? Research shows that the menhir of Manoir de Chane is not just a stone block, but a symbol of the unknown, connecting us with ancient civilizations that left us their mysteries. This stone, with its rough surface and majestic size, seems to hold many secrets. How was it installed in such a place, and what role did it play in the lives of ancient people? Some archaeologists suggest that the menhir could have served as an orientation point for travelers, as well as a place for rituals connected with natural cycles. But why was it necessary to install such enormous stones? Were they part of a larger project, or was this individual work reflecting the desire for greatness and immortality? Answers to these questions remain mere speculations, and the menhir continues to stand, guarding its secrets. Every year, thousands of tourists flock here, eager to touch this ancient wonder. But can they truly understand its meaning? How many mysteries remain beyond our comprehension, and how many more such enigmas are scattered across the earth, waiting to be discovered? Manoir de Chane is not just a menhir. It is a testament to the fact that the human spirit is capable of the incredible, even if we cannot always explain it. What are the true roots of this megalith? And what secrets is it ready to reveal to those who dare to peer into its depths? The mysteries of the past continue to draw us, like stars in the night sky. And perhaps that is why we will always seek answers in the enigmas that surround us. This is not the only mystery that Europe hides. Traveling south, we find ourselves in Italy, in the picturesque valley of the Atrani, where underground temples carved into soft limestone evoke both awe and reverence. These enigmatic cult complexes, known as cave temples, are remarkable for their precision and craftsmanship. Their walls seem to whisper of ancient rituals and forgotten rites that were performed here, creating an atmosphere charged with mystique. How could ancient builders create such complex structures using only simple tools? What knowledge did they possess, which we have lost today? Researchers studying these temples conclude that they may be connected to ancient civilizations that possessed unknown technologies and knowledge. The walls of these unique structures are adorned with symbols, many of which remain undeciphered. What did they mean to those who created them? Some scholars suggest that these symbols were part of a system of beliefs that linked people to the cosmos and nature. Others propose that the cave temples were used as observatories for observing astronomical phenomena. How can we explain the fact that these temples, despite their antiquity, have preserved their structure and form over thousands of years? Perhaps this is the secret of their creation. Local residents tell stories of how at night, the light emanating from the stones creates the illusion of movement, as if the temples themselves come to life under the moonlight. These are just myths? Or is there some basis for these legends? Scholars continue to investigate these mysterious structures, using modern technologies such as laser scanning to understand how these temples were built and for what purpose they served. Some researchers suggest that the cave temples could have been centers of spiritual practice, where ancient priests performed rituals aimed at connecting with the divine. But the question remains, what forces were they trying to invoke, and what knowledge did they, perhaps, carry with them into eternity? Could these temples truly have been places where the worlds of the living and the dead intersected? This mystery remains unsolved, like many other hidden aspects of our history. The cave temples of the Valley of the Atrani are not just architectural monuments. They are gates to a world of forgotten traditions and knowledge that, perhaps, will never be fully revealed. What significance did these temples hold for ancient man? And how are they connected to other mysteries hidden beneath the earth? Perhaps it is in these questions that the key to unraveling the secrets lies, which humanity continues to seek in its journeys through time and space. How many more such mysteries await their hour when they can be opened by those who dare to look into the abyss of history? The secrets of the past, like shadows, surround us, and only time will show if we can ever understand their true meaning. As we venture deeper into the heart of Italy, we find ourselves in Rome, where hidden underground worlds teem with secrets and ancient histories. The catacombs of Domitilla. These catacombs, among the oldest and most extensive in the capital, present a true enigma, inspiring awe and reverence in researchers and history enthusiasts. Their origins are shrouded in mystery. Archaeologists assert that the catacombs were created long before the first written evidence of Christian communities emerged. How could ancient people, without modern technologies, construct such vast and intricate underground labyrinths? The tunnels stretch for kilometers, containing hundreds of niches where the remains of the past lie. The walls of these catacombs, adorned with ancient frescoes, tell the story of faith, hope, and fear of those who sought solace in these dark yet sacred places. What significance did these images hold for the first Christians, and what were they trying to convey to their descendants? Some researchers suggest that these frescoes may have served as a kind of map, guiding souls through the afterlife. But what hidden knowledge and rituals might these images conceal? Local legends claim that in the catacombs, one can hear the echo of footsteps, as if the souls that once sought peace are returning. This is merely a product of imagination, or do they truly preserve the memory of those who have passed? Ancient priests and Christians may have conducted rituals here, combining elements of mysticism and faith, creating a space where two worlds intersected. How could this underground network have endured through the ages, despite changes in religious and cultural currents? Research using modern technologies, such as three-dimensional scanning, has helped to reveal some of these secrets, but many questions remain unanswered. What were the true motivations behind the creation of the catacombs? And what hidden knowledge might have been lost with their creators? Each discovery in these subterranean realms adds new layers to the existing enigmas, but also opens up even more questions. Perhaps in these dark corridors lie not only the remnants of the past, but also answers to the questions humanity has been asking for centuries. How many more secrets await their time in the catacombs of Domitilla, and will we ever be able to unravel all their mysteries? Or will they remain forever sealed in the darkness of history? The secrets of the catacombs, like many other enigmas, remain unsolved, and each step through their corridors serves as a reminder that our understanding of the past is but the tip of the iceberg, hiding countless mysteries waiting to be revealed. Europe is not merely a contemporary continent, scattered with gleaming cities and picturesque resorts. It is also the cradle of ancient civilizations, filled with mysteries and enigmas that continue to draw us into their depths. We have barely scratched the surface of the countless histories hidden beneath layers of time. Each culture has left traces that can speak to the pressing questions that have troubled humanity for centuries. From the enigmatic megalithic structures like Stonehenge to the magnificent ruins of ancient cities, all of this testifies to the richness of our ancestors' diversity and their knowledge, which outshines any modern achievements. How could they have created such complex and grand structures that continue to awe even the most seasoned researchers? What secrets do the ancient writings and symbols found on the walls of forgotten temples hold? Perhaps these artifacts contain the keys to understanding not only their time, but also our own existence. We invite you to continue this journey with us. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share your thoughts in the comments. What structure or place have you dreamed of seeing with your own eyes? Ahead of us lie new videos about the mysterious places on our planet, like the catacombs of Domitilla, which hold countless unknown secrets. What other wonder may be hidden beyond the horizon, waiting for its moment to be revealed? We stand at the threshold of great discoveries, and perhaps each of us has the chance to become a part of this captivating story. How many more secrets, like stars in the night sky, await their moment to be discovered?